Welcome to the London Horror Movie Club. I'm horror writer Lauren Jane Barnett.
And I'm Chris Sapikowski, Lauren's older brother, and I've been watching horror movies since I was 8.
Join us as we talk about the wild, weird, and wonderful horror films set in England's eerie capital. Welcome back, horror fans. This month on the London Horror Movie Club, we have a guest with a remarkable career in filmmaking anyone would envy. Having worked on special effects, art, and production design on films and television for over 30 years, horror fans will, of course, see loads of his work, including powerhouse films like Blade, Night of the Scarecrow, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and Texas Chainsaw 3. And his next film is also his directorial debut, Solitude, which he co-directed with Jeremy Brown, is an intense horror thriller about reality TV contestants on a survival show who battle with an unexpected folkloric danger. It has just come out. It's available here in the UK on Tubi, and I can't wait to talk about it. So let's welcome Mick Strawn. Hey, Mick.
You know, I just saw Night of the Scarecrow. I had never seen it all the way through.
You're kidding.
Well, you know, it wasn't exactly it was kind of like put together by a small group, and although we had a pretty decent little tiny budget, you know, and I was surprised. It's actually got some really good gags in it.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? It's like a really decently upsetting story as well.
It really is. It's got the demented in it, you know, and I swear to God, I see it, and I'm just barely remembering this. I mean, you know, it's like, look, I did a lot of films, and some of them I just don't even remember, but I do remember when we started that film, Kristen Stube, who was our producer, right? I remember that she was the line producer, so she was there with us. And when we first got to town, we're out in a one of those bands that you all get together in, which is to me kind of like what I'm going to be carried to hell in, is one of those bands. And so we're going down the road, and we're in this town of Hanford, which is, you know, way north of LA. It's actually around Bakersfield. It's out where the corn grows tall, and that's about all you got, right? and we're like going down the road, and there's this field of corn beside it, and I asked the question. I said, "How far can you see through corn if it's, you know, just corn? How, you know, corn is tall and it's in rows and all the rest of this, and it doesn't seem to me like, it seems like we're going to have to modify a cornfield in order to make it so that we can see through it and actually have action in it." And so we decided just to pull over on the side of the road, and we did. And we all walked into a cornfield and all immediately got lost. But not only that, I'm walking with Kristen, and Kristen's beside me, and she goes, "You know, I'm not feeling well." And she turns towards me, and her face is just like 3 times the size that it normally is. And immediately we have to like try and echolocate each other to run back to the van to drive her to the hospital because she is allergic to corn.
No.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And she was the PM through the whole thing, and she could never go into the cornfields because, you know, eventually it would kill her. And I thought, you know, that's kind of a perfect parable for that movie in general. The corn is going to kill you.
I've never heard about that, but that would be frightening.
Right. I didn't know such a thing existed until I was looking it in the face.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God. Did you have a lot of films like that where something would show up when you got on set and you thought you had a plan and then it all just goes haywire?
Oh my God, that was just Tuesday. That was just any given fucking Tuesday. That, you know, making a film will actually it's sort of like the old curse, may you be born in interesting times, which we are, just incidentally. But the thing is like you're doing things that you don't just normally do, right? I mean, making a film is like taking normal things and then manipulating them and then making them act like they're normal things, right? Which, you don't want to think about that too far, or you just won't get up on Monday. You see what I'm saying? But it's, I'll give you an example of this. When we did Mantis, I did the pilot for Mantis, which became the movie Mantis, right? And we did it in the 90s, and during the 90s they did a lot of experimentation with cameras and so forth. And we got Panavision gave us this really cool camera that had a digital offline, and the offline went straight to a computer, and the computer would do a digital copy of the film. It wasn't good enough to project it yet. I mean, it wasn't something that you would use for actual broadcasts, but it was good enough to edit with, right? And this was an amazing thing, right? So at first we started having normal film dailies, right? And every day we would see yesterday's film, right? And by the way, you think today that like you have problems with photography and stuff. Remember, we used to not see what we shot until the next day. Right. I mean,
insane.
I mean, it is an insane, when you think about it, it's insane. Right. And so we, of course, as all people do, we immediately, as soon as humanly possible, we got as fucking lazy as we could. And so we stopped watching dailies. We would watch dailies every 3 days. And then after a while, we wouldn't watch dailies until the end of the week. And finally, on the last week of filming, of 6 weeks of filming, we had already for 2 weeks, we hadn't watched dailies, until the end of the week. And somewhere on a Tuesday, and we were supposed to film until Friday, on Tuesday, the gear inside of the camera slipped one notch so that nothing had synced up, and it just ruined all the footage. And so we filmed that way for 3 days. You know why? Because we didn't have dailies. And then, so then I get this warning on Saturday. I go, and of course the thing is the rush in LA is to, once you're done filming on a stage, right? And that's all of our stage work is usually at the end of the shoot, right? So I got this message on Saturday, at the end of the day, Saturday, after we'd been wrapping for a day, to freeze everything. I was like, oh, what could this possibly, what natural fuck up could this possibly be, right? And so all of a sudden I'm like, oh God. And they're telling me, yeah, no, we're going to have to rebuild everything that we shot for the last 3 days. I'm like, seriously? So it took us a week to put everything back together. So we put everything back together, and then I learned something about filmmakers. Filmmakers only do things well once. They don't do it again. And here's the thing. Not only that, we had to frame things up with the bad digital copy. So we'd have to put it on the frame and then put everybody and everything right back where it was in the frame, because we were already editing it on that brand new Avid, brand new film editing system, non-linear. Oh, good. And so, oh my God, I remember those 3 days. I never want. I had a list of people I wanted to kill so goddamn long, and I'm sure that I was on everybody else's list. You know, everybody's.
There
You know
were
that.
enough lists to go around for sure.
Oh God, there just weren't. I remember. I got into an argument with about nothing. I mean, about just the smallest little thing with the PM. I have not talked to him. I haven't spoke to him to this day.
No.
That was 28 years ago.
Oh my
Anyway.
god. I love it. I love it. Honestly, this is what makes film so much fun, is that it's all total chaos. And I don't think people realize.
The thing is making a film, the people that are good at making films are the people that recover. You know what I mean? I mean, they're the people that like somebody comes and says the most outrageous piece of shit that just happened that you just couldn't even imagine. And you just went, okay, no, I got this. you put on this like face, like, sure, no, no, I planned that. I'll give you one. I was working on Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, which, by the way, talk about film. My daughter saw Electric Boogaloo at a party, right? She was, and by the way, my daughter's at the time was probably like almost 30, and she had gone to a party in town, and they got together and they were doing an 80s party, right? And in the background, Electric Boogaloo is running, and somebody says, "Isn't that your name up there on the screen? It's going by." And she was like, "Oh God." So on that film, I remember we had built like basically that's like a Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland film. You know, let's put on a show and we're going to save the building. We're going to save the center, or we're going to save the community center, right? And that's exactly what the plot was, and it was kind of based on that, right? Only with hip hop and what are they called? Breakdancing. Yep. Yeah, it was breakdancing was the big thing. So we painted this building, with all this great graffiti, and I had the latest graffiti artists coming in and painting and stuff, and we painted it head to toe, and we just did the big show, and we put this huge platform out front to do this huge dance number, right? And the platform came all the way out to the edge of this row of palm trees that came down the center of the street. Boom, 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 boom. And the DP comes the day before, and of course he uses the most typical DP line, which is like, "I can't believe that I'm finding out about this now." And you're like, "Oh, God damn it." I hate it when they say that. It's like, yeah, we've been working on this 3 weeks. It's not like it was a secret. So anyway, so I'm standing there and I'm going, okay, what is it this time? And he goes, "Well, you've got these palm trees marching up the center of the street, but this palm tree here, the one right next to the big party scene, makes it so that I'm going to hit that with my crane any way that I go." And, I admit that he was right. It's not like it wasn't there 3 weeks ago, but okay, so we're going to film in a day. Right. And I'm like, "Oh, God damn it." So, okay. And I just did that. Okay. I got you. I got you. Okay. So what I did was I called up a guy. I said, "Somebody give me the penny saver, the little rag sheet, the little ad rag sheet." And I said, "Find me a guy who does landscaping, and it's, if possible, see if somebody, let's see if we can find some." And I find this guy that specializes in trees, right? And I say, "Do you have a hauler, specifically a palm tree hauler, because it's a really specific vehicle. And he goes, yeah, I do. I mean, of course, we move palm trees all the time. I say, tell you what, here's how this works. I'm at such and such an address. If you come down here at 6:30 at night, I will have $1,000 cash for you. I'm going to meet you 2 blocks away from. So basically, I met him 2 blocks away at 6:30 at night. And by the way, just for those who are criminally minded and those who are criminally minded in a hobby sense, remember that you doing things at 6:30 at night or just general dusk and dawn are the 2 times that nobody's going to see you do anything, because the lighting is a little funky, and nobody actually sees what goes on at dusk. And so I said, okay, I'm 2 blocks away with him, and I go, okay, here's what I need you to do. I want you to put your crane up. Basically it's a big rail that comes all the way up, and the palm trees strap around it, and they go wherever, right? And I said, I want you to back from here down to that palm tree right there, wrap your things around it, pop it up out of the ground, and take off. You can have the palm tree. And at the time, it was worth probably about $5,000, in early 80s money. And and I said, you can have that palm tree. You just got to do it as fast as you possibly can. Here's $1,000. And sure enough, that's what he did. We came running out from around the building. We filled it with dirt. That we had piles of dirt back there ready to go in wheelbarrows, dumped asphalt on it, and then went out and aged the the asphalt so it looked like the rest of the asphalt. And literally we were done in 10 minutes. Took the whole fucking thing. 10 minutes. And so the next day is the day that we're shooting, right? So we're up on top of the building, and we're looking out here, and we're looking out, and sure enough, we're there at like 5:30 a.m. Because this is the big day, the big party scene, right? And we see the guy that lives in the house that's right straight across from his house, right? That was the palm tree, and we see him in his bathrobe, and we're all like looking over the parapet of the building, right? Like it kind of looked like Monty Python, woo! So we see him come out, and he's got the little white picket fence in the gate, right? And he goes out the gate, and he goes down, and he picks up his paper, and he goes back, and he's heading back in. We're all holding our breaths. He's headed back into this, closes the gate, and then about halfway to his house, he stops, and he turns around, and he looks up the street. He looks, at the platforms and everything, and kind of like he has this really puzzled look on his face. And then he literally shrugs and turns around and goes back into his house, right? I sort of got, we were up there partying. Yeah! So yes, that's the incredibly long answer to your question. Does anything weird ever happen?
Yes.
Everything weird happens all the time.
Did anybody ever come back to you guys and be
no.
Like, no bureaucrat, no town manager that was like looking to make a move or anything?
Look, the weird thing about it is it's kind of it was at that time a little bit of a lawless area as things go. You know what? Which reminds me, the thing is we were in a neighborhood that ICE doesn't go to.
Oh, wow.
See what I'm saying? Wow. I mean, ICE, you look around and there's 40 of them, and they're all and they're strutting around like this. They ain't in South Central LA.
Yeah.
You know what? They didn't go down and pick through South Central LA because they wouldn't have come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Just
Well, and
saying.
if you're gonna break dance to save your community center, it's probably not in Melrose. Like it's
Yeah,
probably
yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah,
yeah,
no, exactly, exactly. You know, it's great.
just different fundraisers for
Just
different areas of the city.
different. You know what? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you don't need the jewels and the long dress.
Yeah, silent auctions work just as well as breakdance-a-thons. You're
Just
good.
as well. That's just saying.
How did you get your start into movies? I mean, you have such a great list or like resume. I mean, but what made you
I
want to get into it?
my I never wanted to get into it.
Okay, so totally accident.
It was a complete accident. My sister was a wardrobe designer in off Broadway. You know, the kind of Broadway things in New York where you literally make your living by selling purses on the corner that have Calvin Klein with an upside down V. You know, that kind of thing. And that's what she did, but her hobby was doing wardrobe, right? And the thing is I was doing all kinds of different construction, and I hated it. I was bored as hell. And she goes, she got this great commercial that this Canadian safety commercial. You can look this up. It's called Play Safe. It's got this little robot called Asta and has scared children in Canada for the last 40 years. So I'm not kidding. I mean, I didn't, nobody even told me this until about 3 years ago. So she gets this job. And the thing is, in LA, doing the scenic painting for this commercial, and this is like an advanced, and the thing is the most important thing to do when you get a job like that is you have to hire people underneath you that will not let them know that you don't have any idea what you're doing. So I mean, that's how she got the job. That's how I got the job. We all got the job. And that's the important thing. And so that's how I started working it. And next door, the funny thing is so next door there was this we did that commercial, and that commercial went on forever because somebody got injured and we had to hold the sets and we had to keep them painted and keep them and meantime there was a commercial going next door for McDonald's, but it was the original Professor McDonald's where he's looking. Yeah, they had a professor in there, and somebody had brought in a telescope, and I was like literally living in a VW van at night while I was living in the corner of the stage, right? You know, because I lived in San Bernardino, and I didn't even know if this was just going to be a one-time thing, and so then they got this. So somebody comes in with a telescope, and it was the biggest telescope she could find was a modern telescope, you know, Celestian kind of mirror kind of telescope. And it's funny is when she brought it in, and I was just talking to the production designer trying to figure out what he was doing, you know, what the job was, because I was scoping shit out, and I looked over there, and he goes, "Well, that's not right." And I said, "Yeah, if you're doing this, it should be that Jules Verne telescope, you know, with the big thing and then the little thing and then a little down like that. It's got the scope and the big bolts and stuff on the side of it." And he said, yeah, that's it. And so then I made him one overnight using bits and pieces out of the building's air conditioning system. Yes. And then just going to getting up at 6 a.m. when the building stores are opening, getting some brass and green spray paint and painting up. It looked fucking great. Absolutely great. And from then on, I thought, hey, look, you know what? Maybe I'm a prop maker. And I made props. And then after a while, I just I was a designer. Like by the time we hit Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I had worked on the I had worked with Peter Chesney on all the effects for it for Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I went, well, I was working at Peter Chesney's shop, and Peter Chesney did the mechanical effects for Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I was running his shop, and I went down to Robertson, which was New Line Cinema's main office, to drop off our receipts and put in our bills, and for because we were just waiting to find a director. And it was on the 8th floor on Robertson. I just remember that Jerry Olson, who's a producer that I had worked with before, walks up, and I go, "Hey, Jerry, how's it going?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, it's going good." And he goes, I go, "Well, what are you doing down here?" He goes, "Well, I just got this job as a producer on Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And I said, "Well, that's a weird coincidence. I'm just finishing up with working on the effects for it." And then we got into the elevator, and when we got in the elevator, I went, you know what you need? You need an art director. And the only reason I didn't get the production designer job was because I didn't think of it. I was only thinking of art director, and there wasn't a production designer on it, literally because that's all I could think of in that fucking elevator. And I got the job by the time we went up 8 floors.
That's amazing.
That's the best elevator pitch ever.
It was an actual motherfucking elevator pitch.
That's incredible. Is that how you ended up with Solitude? Was it the same? Was it just like, I'm going to direct now? Who wants it?
Well, Solitude's that's kind of Jeremy Brown's thing. Jeremy Brown got me to do Vengeance, which was a fan film. I'd never done a fan film before, but I was at a con in the same state as he was in. I was at a con, and he got me a burrito when I desperately fucking needed a burrito. Right? I was sitting there. I was trying to sell these books or something. I can't even remember. And some guy comes up and goes, "Hey, can I get you something?" And I go, "God, I'd die for a burrito." And he got me a Taco Bell burrito, and a friendship was born. And then I did this thing that I'd never done before, is actually work and not get paid, right? And working with other people who are not getting paid, which was a weird fucking thing to do. I really have to say, it's I don't know that if I'm a fan for it. I think that if you're a new filmmaker, that's great. You know, it's I was just came from a different time, so now I've like kind of gotten into. I'll trade things with friends and stuff like that, and yeah, filmmaking has gotten more egalitarian, let's say. And so anyway, we did Vengeance together. I kind of was there one day as a guest on Vengeance, just seeing what it was like. And by the end of the day, I was the first AD, and it kind of went from there. And then I designed everything, and then it got. But that's a fan film that's had 3,000 views, 3 million views. So then we decided later on, got together and decided that what we wanted to do is write something that would be that could be made, that's written so that it can be made well with the budget that we had, which was our pocket change and stuff like that. And to my mind, it came out to be a really decent movie.
Do you have any great stories of breaking the law or doing a dusk or dawn thing for Solitude? Is there any? I mean, I'm gonna run with that from now on. As soon as the light changes here, I might just see what kind of things I can get away with.
Not. It was. We filmed out in the middle of. We filmed at one of the characters from Alone. That's actually on kind of. Solitude is a kind of a combination of Alone and a Wendigo story, and the two of them get entwined, and the entwining is the interesting thing. And I don't know, it went really fairly smoothly. I have to say that, other than that time that a group of mosquitoes carried our lead actress off at one point. Other than that, I mean, we all did pretty well.
I'm amazed because, like, filming outdoors with the lighting outdoors is a nightmare. How did you deal with that?
Well, I take my lighting cues from a little bit different point of view. I want it lit up at night. I want to use clues to let you know that it's light by putting a difference a difference between how you did day stuff and the night stuff. I mean, night stuff, but I kind of like went back to Evil Dead 2. That kind of what Evil Dead 2 did was they created layers of light of trees, and then lights, and then trees and the trees are all in silhouettes of the lights that are behind them, right? So you have this line of trees, lights, trees, lights, trees, lights, trees, lights, so that there's depth to your night. I mean, it seems like most people today, when they're especially on a low budget, when they see night, they go, whoa, that's so cool, because we don't need any lights or anything at night. We don't need this is easy shit. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, man. People, I mean, it's become Game of Thrones territory, right?
Everything out nowadays is dark. Everything,
right.
even in an office building, it's dark.
I mean, I don't know if it's because I mean, let's face it, there are some films where when it gets that dark, you go, what a relief, because that was a shit film, right? But I mean, otherwise, if it's really interesting, I don't want them to, like, say exterior night, because I'm not going to figure out what the hell's going on, right?
Totally.
That's so funny. I want to ask a question. Go back.
The only reason that that there's a wind is because of the fucking sound, right?
Yeah.
It's true.
Just saying.
I want to go back to like some of the older, like you worked with Nightmare, you worked with Texas Chainsaw 3.
Right.
Like those are like iconic, like storylines, like movies in general. Like, did you know when you were working on them, like being that they like, did you just know that they were hitting at that time, or like did you know you were gonna be a part of something that would last?
You know what? Particularly in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Bob Shea came out. When I got Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and I started to get dragged into the meetings and stuff, Bob Shea's desperate for his company because he had been doing little tiny distributions of like college distribution. Like when they would come to town and you would see Reefer Madness and this and that, and the Bambi thing with the foot coming down and that those collections, that's what he did, right? And then he got enough money to get New Line going, and he did a couple, and Nightmare came along, and then he did, and that was relatively successful, and then Nightmare 2 came along, and that was like the typical drawdown on return in investment, because the rule kind of went like this: your first film, if it really hits, it makes X amount of money, and the second film makes half X amount of money, and then the third does half of the second X, and then on. That's just the way that it worked that way. I mean, there were rare exceptions, but that's kind of how it works. And he gets to the third, and he goes, "Guys, we gotta. I'm going to rework this. We need to rework this concept so that it works, so that it really is gripping, and we can beat that curve." And so there were three things that we did. The first, and we had meetings about this. The first was that Wes Craven took care of the Superman problem. And you know what the Superman problem is?
No.
Okay, here's the problem. Superman has the problem that, and it's why the Superman films are only as good as the most charismatic Superman that you can get, right? Is because they're just not, it's not an interesting concept, right? Because he can do everything. God damn it. You've got a leading character that all he has to do is spin the earth backwards, right? To like change the time, right? So I mean, it's just not an interesting concept, right? It's, if it weren't for kryptonite, it just, and the thing is here's the thing is, I can sum up the plot of every Superman film ever made. Superman sees a problem. He starts to fix the problem. All of a sudden, kryptonite shows up somewhere. And then his problem is to get rid of the kryptonite. It's every fucking film, right? So that's the Superman problem. And definitely Nightmare on Elm Street had that, because the thing is, you go into a dream,
you're screwed.
Yeah, you're screwed. Basically, you got to go to sleep, right? So Wes Craven changed it by saying, well, I'm going to have a character go into a dream and then pull other people into the dream. And then that's how the rest of all the nightmares went from there. And my concept was, I mean, and so that was Wes Craven's thing is he wrote a script that brings in other people, that can bring in fresh blood and reinforcements, right? So the next thing was to let Robert Englund, who was actually an actor, actually a great actor, to bring him in to create and let him off the chain. Let his character be more dynamic, to let his character, to bring that silly edge. And the thing is that silly edge is Robert's incredibly fast. I mean, he is such a natural talent. So bringing him in, that was the next thing. And then it was my turn. And my turn was, I was like, well, I don't want to do this just on location. I want to do as much in a stage of some sort. And by stage, I mean, in a dilapidated warehouse in downtown LA, across the street from the jail. The Grips, they used to have weekend jail for drug offenses, right? And so every Monday morning, our Grips would come out of jail and cross the street into the warehouse.
Great commute.
So just remember, things have changed a little bit, because I'm pretty sure that there is no weekend jail anymore. Anyway, so my thing was, I'm going to pull it onto the stage, and I said, and I kind of had like more of an idea of Aladdin or Alibaba, kind of like more. I saw it as being a journey. I wanted the journey to be interesting. And that's what I did with the third and fourth. I tried to just make the journey from, I saw these as being, kind of roadshow movies, to tell you the truth. The kids get together and they're young. Yeah, we're going to go take care of the bad guy. And right. And that's kind of, I made these places that we went to more interesting. And that was my kind of idea.
Well, it's my Nightmare is my all-time favorite horror movie, and even all the sequels, like I watch them once a year. Like I love them. They've stuck with me since the time that the babysitter babysitting us let us watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
I think of it this way. By the way, just as how I consider them, 3 and 4. I consider 3 is a magic movie. It is a great movie, but it is a continuous movie. It's a story, and I don't know that it doesn't have a lot of great clips out of it. I mean, other than, the arms, which the arm thing, it just doesn't have that many great clips to it. And I think that 4, which was more kind of written by sort of like Colbert in Meanwhile. That was what 4 was. 4 was like there was no script. There was 40 pages of an outline, and we just came up with one idea after the other. And that's exactly what it feels like, right? And they call it the video nightmare, and it really is. And it was really made that way too. I mean, it was made in 3-minute segments. Why not see it in 3-minute segments?
I love that. Since you've had such a varied career, do you have pet favorite films that you've done or that you've got to work on?
Boy. Yeah, that's a good question. I like the first 20 minutes of Blade.
Yeah.
That was mine. That's
you?
That's my 20 minutes. Yeah,
that's sick 20 minutes.
Yeah, the blood and everything. That was months and months of work to get that to actually work. Oh my God, that was such a nightmare. I like that. I like I like Nightmare on Elm Street 4 quite a bit. I like Chainsaw. I like Leatherface. Leatherface to me is a pretty good. I really love working with. I love working with Jeff Burr. I think that more than do I like the film was do I like the people that worked on it, right? And in that case, Nightmare on Elm Street 4. We were all under such incredible pressure, and I just like the way that we worked together. But I like working with Jeff Burr a lot. He passed a couple of years ago, and it just hurts my heart. In fact, he was going to direct a film that I did with R.A. Halehoff called Pig Hill, and Pig Hill is going to be coming out in a few months, and he had to pass on it because his health was deteriorating, and he didn't make it till the end of filming on it. So he was going to do that, and instead it was Kevin Lewis who did. Kevin Lewis came in and he did Willy's Wonder World.
Oh wow, I loved Willy's Wonder World. Chris recommended that to me.
That's a great one.
He's a really good director, and Pig Hill is going to be the super dark. It's going to be his next horror, super dark.
Okay. All right.
What was
do you prefer horrors over? I know you have other genres in your resume, but do you prefer horror films?
I prefer working on horror films. I don't necessarily. I kind of like comedy horror to watch.
Nice.
But I'm not. I'm kind of a rom-com guy.
I love that.
It's just that I would shoot myself in the head if I had to work on one. Don't give me that. I know that
happy to watch. Don't want to have to deal with it.
Look. It's like when I used to go to church. I used to always be in the choir, and it was only in self-defense because I fucking hate listening to choirs.
So
you just solve problems is what you are. You're a problem solver.
That is all I am. I have in fact, I have been told by so many people that is my whole thing in life. It's like I do solve problems, and that is what a horror film is. Horror film is a long series of problems, and that's what I'm really good at, and I'm not good at staying in my own lane. I never have been. And, if the fucking writing's a problem, then the writing's a problem, and I'm going to let you know about it. I mean,
I love
it's just the way it is.
I got it because the Blood Rave at the beginning of Blade is one of my favorite things, and you mentioned that it was impossible to do. I gotta know how did you do that?
Well, first of all, we had to work with getting the right type of blood, and here's the thing that I say about that scene is you've never seen blood come down that looked like that. Right? It looks, it doesn't look like real blood. It looks worse than that. It has this look to it. What I wanted like when a drop landed on you, it stayed there and it looked like something. It didn't form little rivulets and run down like water with red food coloring, which is, kind of way it normally is. So, it took me a while to get that. And then when I did, it was so thick that we couldn't pump it through an actual head. So we had to make heads that were 3 times larger than an actual head and feed the whole system off of 1.5-inch pipes. So when you're looking at a head that's spraying like that, those heads are this big around.
Oh my God.
They're fucking enormous. Because otherwise, when I got the blood like I wanted it and you pumped it through those little tiny pipes, it would just kind of envelope and then go around it, right? So the amount of blood that is coming out of those fluid coming out of those is massive. It is backed up by 3,500 gallons of it. That's how much it took to make that work.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's going down to drains, and it's being chlorinated and taken back out and pumped through 3 enormous pumps, that are gas driven. So it was such a problem. Plus, in order to keep people safe, we had to have we used those long support trucks that they use for fire brigades on scrub fires and forest fires, right? So we had 9 of those trucks that each one of them has like 15 berths. 9 of those trucks, 15 showers a piece, all the way wrapped around the building to get people in. And it took us a week and a half to get through that sequence.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. None of that was easy. It was huge.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's that film, right? I mean, it really is. It's the rest of that film is kind of a downhill trajectory. I mean, you go from that to following a digital fucking a digital drop along a digital rock for about 30 minutes. Wow, how did this get down this low?
What do you think about that? Like, with you're saying that you were figuring out how to do all this, and like more and more and more, it's going to this with AI, but with also just CGI, and everyone going to that. Do you prefer working with like actual substance that you can plan with, or do you do a little bit of both?
The thing is it's just another tool in the kit, The thing is this there was a time where when CGI first came out, the producers just flocked to it because it made their amount of time on screen in filming, right? It made their filming time more precise because they would just say, well, we're just going to put that. We don't do that. We're going to do that in
post-production.
In post-production. And the thing is it didn't look like shit. And then and then they started to take control of it away from the director, because then the director goes on to something else, and then you can do whatever you want, right? And that's what in that fight we just had at the beginning of CGI. We had years of just totally shitty effects, right? But then, I mean, then there's kind of a natural balancing out back to where it's being used as accents. It's being used for like maybe one shot, but it's being set up by more practical effects, and that puts it back in the toolbox.
It makes sense.
And I don't know about AI. But AI is just absolutely I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. And I say these things knowing that eventually AI is going to control us all, and they can look back at this and go, maybe he's a good guy. Maybe we will. My AI overlords are the best of robotic people.
Let us live.
Yes, please let us live.
So you have such a long-spanning career, and you've done indie and big films. And have you noticed any massive changes, or have things stayed basically the same principle?
Oh my God, it's so different. I mean, in my back in my day, I'm not that type of person. I'll roll with the punches. I think that a lot of the principles of filming have remained the same. Telling a story has not changed at all. Actually, I think that the clarity that the new lenses and the new cameras and the new way of doing things has definitely made storytelling better. I mean, the thing is I've talked to people who say, yeah, one of the things about writing that most people don't understand is that you used to write for the definition that you could get with what you were doing, right? Because TV didn't have great definition, so you couldn't do subtle shit. I mean, it was really hard. And as the vision of what we're looking at started to change and get crisper and cleaner, the writing has come along too. I mean, I think that I think that the egalitarian nature of filming now, I mean, everybody can, I mean, you have in your pocket, you have a device that has the same capabilities in filming and editing as some of the as we had on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and we probably paid in the end we were using easily maybe $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 worth of equipment, right? And yet, if you include the editing and the filming and all the rest of that, and you got it in your pocket, so it's at the same time, it means that there's a lot more stuff out there, and it's a lot harder to find things that are pretty good, right? And then there's the way the distribution works now. Then the distribution system is completely broken, especially for smaller films. I mean, it's basically you go to the theater to see a Marvel film, right? And everything else you're going to see on Netflix. Well, that's just the way that works right now. I can tell you, in 20 years, it won't. In 20 years, it'll be just zapped straight into your fucking head. Wait a minute. No, oh my God, they shot him. Okay. What was that?
It's true.
I could get so much movie watching done if they do that though while I'm at work.
Yeah,
they would never
exactly.
know.
You see, he's going to be running like, yeah. Yeah. Have you watched any of the Marvel films? Yeah, I did right now. I just finished up all of them. Just after breakfast. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
No, there's still something nice about. I'm one of the few people that I know that I still like going to the theater.
Yeah.
Get some popcorn, go to the theater, and have an event. It's an event, like it's a night out. Go watch a film. It's still something nice about it.
Yeah, I had a heart attack about a year ago, and ever since then, I don't think I've been to the theater yet.
Oh wow!
Well,
that's not good. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, no,
I was just gonna say you look great for having had a heart attack.
There's just a kind of you rebuild your life as you go. You go, oh yeah. Well, there's everything before the heart attack and everything after, right?
Gotcha.
So
you're just missing out. You're just missing out on some Marvel movies. That's all.
That's not missing out on much. That's
Ant-Man 4 and Iron Man 7.
Like, wow. The great thing though is, think of it this way. I did Fantastic Four, which was a Marvel movie, right? It was the cheap version that nobody has seen, but everybody's seen, right? And that I went from that to working on the first actual, kind of that gave them their look, which was Blade. Went from one to the other. So I was there at the beginning.
Yeah. You bailed before it got crazy.
That's right.
You need some checks coming in your way.
Yeah,
you need some checks.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you want to go back to writing? I mean, you had mentioned that you did some of the writing and directing with Solitude. Did you like that, or are you looking, or do you want to get back into doing what you did with that?
I don't know what I want to do, to tell you the truth. I mean, I have a couple of films where I'm going to help some friends of mine direct some stuff. And I say that because I'm kind of at a place in my life where it's pretty exhausting, to carry a whole film, and I'm probably not going to be carrying a whole. I mean, I made production design a film called Rogaroo by Eric Mathis coming up, which is a Louisiana werewolf film. And he has a really interesting script, and I'll probably be production designing that next year. But I'm going to be doing a lot of pointing. Yeah. You go over there, you do that, and I'm going to finish my coffee.
I know we're getting towards the end, and I was just wondering if you have any advice out there for somebody who's like, oh, I would love to do what this man does, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Any advice for that kind of person?
It's really funny. You have to be. If you're at that point in your life, you have to be in a place that it's really happening at. You have to be in LA, or you have to be in Georgia now, Atlanta. It's like if you're in North Carolina and what you really want to do is work in the theater. North Carolina probably isn't the place that you. I mean, if you want to make a living at it, then you would go to New York. See what I'm saying? Same thing with the film business. I mean, number one is get yourself in the right place and just start knocking on doors. Yeah. I mean, resumes aren't going to do you anything, and it's just knocking on doors. You just take anything to start and work your way up. I know that sounds, old-fashioned, but bottom line, the film business is a pretty old-fashioned business, even now,
Yeah.
No, it's good advice for anything, though. Really, I mean, at some point you just got to go out there and do it,
Just
right?
got to
You
be
got
in
to
the right
just,
place. Yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
if you're going to do it, you have to start with being in the right place. And
yep,
even these days, place
right
still
place, right time.
right place, right time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
exactly it.
So I do have one last question for you. It might be a little bit broad, but I am curious. I've talked to Lauren about this before. I feel like you worked in the last kind of golden age of Hollywood. And by that, I mean like before social media, before I could turn on a channel dedicated to TMZ and you see
Right.
people walking out or just anything. Like, did you, do you look back on that fondly? I mean, does it feel like you were part of a club that doesn't exist anymore? Or really is it just in my own head that I'm making this kind of picture of it?
Yeah, it's a funny thing is you don't know how disconnected you are if you're disconnected, buddy. So
Yeah.
it's like you only ask that question because you're here at a time that we've got all this stuff, and you look
Yeah.
back now. Just imagine that when in 30 years, 40 years, somebody is going to ask that question, and it's going to sound something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So,
Oh yeah.
And by the way, what I did was I just asked all of you, so what is this going to be like in 30 years? So I guess what I'm saying is that it's hard being there. I mean,
you don't know the difference.
But you don't know the difference.
Yeah.
You really don't know the difference. And you dealt with things a different way, but at the same time, not incredibly different. I do remember research was a motherfucker back then.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret thing that nobody knows now, and the thing is a lot of us, when we die off, this is just going to go. At one time, MGM had on their main stage down just before the ocean, in West LA, they had a stage that their biggest stage, up on top of it was a library, and in this library was run by three. I mean, at the point that I was using the library, three old women that had been there, since I'm pretty sure that they opened the building for work from the inside in the morning. So, boy, that was a good line.
That's a great line.
Yeah. So the thing is, you would go in this library, and there would be bits and pieces. There would be every kind of book, every kind of periodical that had anything to do with design, back into the Stone Age. I mean, all these books about all this, and each one of these books had pages of notes and little drawings and stuff by all these amazing designers and stuff that were slipped inside of them, right? And these three librarians could point out you go in and say, look, I'm doing a Civil War. I'm doing Civil War. I want to know what this particular infantry is, what they wore and what the camps looked like it, and they would have that, and you go through and you'd have, and it had like the world's oldest copier. It's like lay down. And that was the way that you did research, and it's funny is that is gone. I mean, I don't know where all those books and all that stuff went, but you never hear about that. It's that's those little bits and pieces. I kind of don't want those little bits and pieces to go away, but it's a different world.
Now you just look it up on your phone real quick and you have the answer.
Yeah, yeah. It could be wrong, and it could be interrupted by 1,400 different ads, and 6 of them would improve your penis, and and the rest of them are going to make you look better.
So.
This is true. This is true. They're targeting me, is what they're doing.
That's right. Yeah. No, you get the same ones, right? I mean, you get
not just right?
You. Yeah, you get the same ads, right?
Hey, I'm bald. I've gotten more hair club people.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I just don't like the technology in the sense that I grew up thinking that Marilyn Manson was actually Paul from Wonder Years, and all those cool things that some kid in your neighborhood made up. And now I can't even have my kids do anything because they can look it up immediately. They're like, "That's not true, actually," and I'm like, "That's no fun."
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that. The thing is I made my way by reading technical manuals all the time and knowing things, and knowing things has become knowing how to find things, yep. which is fine. Maybe it's just time for me to die, damn it.
No, they'll assimilate you into the AI system so they can ask Mick Strawn, how do you make a telescope for McDonald's?
Yeah, you know what? That'd be that big Borg ship going through, and then all of a sudden I get assimilated and it crashes into the planet. And then all of a sudden a voice goes, "Wow, that was fucking cool."
I'd watch that episode of Star Trek.
I just wanted to do that.
Amazing. I cannot tell you how much fun this has been.
Yes, this has been a blast.
So much for being on.
I'm glad that you guys I've had a great time, so
thank you. Honestly.
Wonderful. It's been great.
Thank you. And of course, thank you to our listeners. This has been possibly one of the coolest episodes of the London Horror Movie Club. If you want to share your thoughts about this episode, please head to our Facebook or YouTube pages. We're grateful to Kukurbit, who made our music. Thank you for listening, and please join us next time for the London Horror Movie Club.